So Pixar's newest movie, Elio, just debuted as the worst opening release of any movie they've made since Toy Story. Now, if you're like a lot of people, this might come to a surprise to you because you've never even heard of Elio. And however, right now in the theaters at the exact same time, we have live-action Lilo and Stitch and live-action How to Train Your Dragon, making people line up to go to the theaters whether they like the movies or not. Now, I think this is a shame because the animation industry has actually been in trouble in America for a little bit now, and I think it's really just terrible that a studio as good as Pixar could have a brand new movie out during the summertime, something that is like perfect for families to go take their kids to see, and it's being considered not only a failure, but a failure because people have never even heard of it. While Disney, the company that you would think would have the biggest marketing budget ever, could have made sure everybody knows about it. Simultaneously, I think that live-action remakes are possible to be good if you have something new to bring to the table to where it's like worth watching. The live-action Lilo and Stitch, on the other hand, is actually getting criticized left and right by people who feel like they altered the story, the themes of the story, the characters, pretty much across the board. It's a warping of the original movie to where it just kind of feels pointless. And everybody who watched that movie could tell that they did things like leave out the main antagonist Gantu and make Jumba more evil so that they could introduce these things into a sequel later and just kind of shoehorn as much money out of this as possible. And at the same time, Disney has an amazing film, Elio, right here, and they kind of think, let's just not really do much with that. And on the non-Disney front, with How to Train Your Dragon, for those of you who don't know, the character designer who designed Stitch also designed Toothless. And both of the original movies actually have the same director.
You directed the original Lilo and Stitch as well. Have you seen the new one, and what did you think of the changes they made?
I have not seen the new one. I actually wasn't asked to be involved at all. The key difference between these two is that this is the first time a studio has asked the original filmmaker to come back and make the live-action version. And so, for better or worse, How to Train Your Dragon is kind of a first in that way.
Now this movie, when the trailer came out, it just kind of looked like a shot-for-shot remake. And so then at that point, what we're really getting is just like a really experimental CGI like cover band of the original movie. Now I haven't seen it yet, maybe it's enjoyable to watch, but the point is that the love and dedication that goes into the animation industry is just beyond. But I would feel a lot better about these live-action remakes if the animation industry was actually being treated properly. Companies like Warner Brothers is not treating animation very well, for instance. They have to listen to CEO David Zaslav, who not only gives himself huge multi-million-dollar bonuses, but on HBO Max, they've announced that they're going to be taking down over time Looney Tunes, Cartoon Network shows, and they've already taken off Infinity Train, a critically acclaimed show that literally does not exist anywhere else, essentially taking a cult classic show and turning it into lost media, except for people who have it torrented. I suppose you can perhaps buy it for video on demand somewhere like Amazon Prime or something, but most people are not going to do that. They'd rather own a Blu-ray or just stream it on HBO. So Elio is a film a lot of you probably haven't heard of yet. It's the brand new Pixar film about a Mexican-American kid named Elio who is pleading to be abducted by aliens, and he feels lonely on Earth and he would rather be out there in the stars by somebody who chooses him. And finally one day it happens and he gets abducted.
It's really happening!
That's the general premise. It's really lovely, it's really good. It was directed by one of the co-directors of Coco, and I thought it was great. And a lot of you feel like you've probably never heard of this because it just wasn't marketed and you haven't seen advertisements for it and you probably just don't even have an opinion on it. The irony to all of this for me is that I've actually been anticipating the movie Elio for years. The first teaser trailer actually came out all the way back in 2023. However, for whatever reason, the last few years, the movie has just continued to be pushed down the road, and they've put out a few other things since then, like Inside Out 2, and the original teaser trailer actually says it was going to come out
in 2024.
Now, if you look into the Pixar Wikipedia page, you can see their upcoming films are Toy Story 5, The Incredibles 3, and some original film named Hopper. Now, if you remember back to the original Pixar 10 films, they were not really a sequel-driven company. Toy Story was kind of the only thing they did sequels to, and then when they made their next 10 films, they came out the gates with Cars 2 and Monsters University and so forth. However, Pete Docter, the guy behind Monsters Inc., Up, Soul, and Inside Out, he is kind of now creatively in charge of the things going on at Pixar. I believe he's the COO now. And unfortunately, he's said things like, oh, people don't want to watch our original director-artist films anymore, like Luca and Turning Red, so in order to financially make it, we're gonna have to start making sequels all the time. And I think this is going to have a handful of negative consequences. For one thing, it's very clear that their original films like Elio are not failing because people are uninterested, but because they're just not really being marketed and people have never even heard of them. The other thing is that I think that Luca is actually an incredible Pixar movie, very underrated, and Turning Red is pretty good as well. And if you remember, these films came out during the pandemic and were put on Disney streaming. And at the same time, there was even an era in the pandemic where movies by Disney, their parent company, Encanto and Raya the Last Dragon were in theaters, but then Luca and Turning Red weren't. Also, as much as I think those films are really good, if you remember, the original draw of the original Pixar 10 films is that they very rarely were movies about people. They were kind of highly creative, weird films about monsters and talking cars. And so yeah, Elio is another movie starring like a middle school kid, but it's also about him getting abducted by aliens. It's really cool and funny, and if parents knew about it and took their kids to go see it, they would probably love it. It's filled with tons of cute characters, really funny jokes, the animation is stellar, so by no means is it a lesser film that I think Pete Docter or Pixar should think people aren't interested in this kind of thing anymore. Also, kids need entertainment. If you think about it, every single time like a kids movie gets added to Netflix, it's in the movie's top 10. You're sitting there scrolling and like right there next to Squid Game Season 3 is like Minions 4 or whatever. And so again, I find this to not really be an excuse. It is summer break in America right now. Kids would love this movie if their parents knew about it and took them to go see it. But instead, again, we have live action Lilo and Stitch, which people are largely disappointed by. The original director was not consulted on it, and they've changed everything about the story, its themes, and its characters, and they're slated to make another really expensive sequel because it'll probably sell well. And on the other hand of things, even outside of Disney, you have like shot-for-shot remakes like How to Train Your Dragon, and anytime one of these films come out, social media and YouTube is just brimming with comments of people being like, they gotta remake this or they gotta remake that. And it's kind of like, culturally, what are we doing? Because I understand for a lot of adults who grew up with these films, it's like cool and exciting to see it like realized in real life because it feels like more badass and epic or whatever. But if you remember, we love these films because they were original films. Lilo and Stitch was a highly creative idea for Disney at the time. You know, a movie about an alien in Hawaii. Right now, Pixar has a movie about a little Mexican kid getting abducted by aliens in outer space. So maybe kids would like that too if they went and watched it, you know what I mean? I rewatched the teaser trailer for Elio that came out in 2023, 2 years ago, and I found something pretty interesting. They completely rewrote and reanimated the movie. Most of the shots and scenes in this teaser trailer are either not in the current film or they are completely redone. And in fact, it seems as though they've completely recharacterized the character. For one thing, Elio, in the film that has come out, he's begging to be abducted by aliens.
Fuck me, adopt me, take me to your leader. I'm not from this planet and she's not either.
And he's not fearful of it at all. And in the teaser trailer, so clearly at some point, they were pretty far down the line with having a film they thought was gonna come out next year with really polished looking animations, and something changed to where clearly they had to do massive overhaul on it. So my biggest theory is that Pixar and Disney started to think of this film as a headache that they had to put like an additional 1.5 years of labor into, and by the time it was done, they probably didn't know what to make of it, how to market it, how they wanted to put it out. But it's unfortunate because I know that artists a lot of the time get kind of tired of their own work by the time they're at the finish line and it's ready to just be shown to people, and I'm sure that studio executives probably feel that way as well. However, it's a good film, and if they just kind of put it out there for what it is and let people know about it more, its response probably would have been great. I think it'll be really interesting to learn more about what happened with this film, because for one thing, the main antagonist of the film seems to have a completely different role in the teaser trailer for the version of the movie that did not come out. That being said, I think Elio was really good. It's not like their most perfect work or anything, but I think them continuing to make new original movies is how they stay great as a studio. I saw an Instagram post earlier that said that they're announcing Ratatouille 2, and this really pisses me off because the thing about Pixar and sequels is the Toy Story sequels were always beloved. But when they started making Toy Story 4 and Lightyear, people got really pissed off because they thought, what's the point? And I think with some of the other movies that don't have sequels yet, maybe people won't think that yet, because they might be like, oh, this one never had a sequel. But if you stop and think about it, most of the Pixar films work perfectly as singular stories. If you look at something like Ratatouille, or Up, or WALL-E, which by the way, that is a generational 3 movies in a row run by Pixar back in the day. None of those movies need a continuation of their story. They are perfectly self-contained. And if we all remember, the art form of films was never to make long TV shows. It was to make one really good story into one really good movie. And I'm not against sequels by and large, but not everybody needs them. And Ratatouille definitely is a film that does not need a sequel. And so I'm just really hoping that Disney kind of get their shit together in regards to honoring original films, marketing them properly, and not putting so much stock into these live action remakes that just kind of feel soulless. It's like, yeah, they have this one really good CGI rendering of realistic Stitch that people are now using as GIFs, but like, he's not even blue enough. There's never even a scene where he shows Lilo his like weird alien body.
You're one of them? Get out of here, Stitch.
Jumba is like the villain, Gantu isn't even in it. Nani gives up Lilo at the end to the state. Cobra Bubbles has like no purpose in the film because there's no plot twist that he's not actually the social worker. You know that he's like who he is the entire time. So it feels like they're kind of lost in the sauce when it comes to those movies, and that they would be better off just making these really good original films. So yeah, I digress, but Elio is in theaters right now. You can go see it. It's a fun, nice movie. It's funny, it's cute, your kids will like it. If you're an adult, it's a fine date night. Go see Elio.